Welcome to Screen Scan. Today, we will recap the 2021 movie, The Last Letter from Your Lover. This movie is a romantic drama film adapted from Jojo Moyes' novel of the same name. The story unfolds across two intertwined timelines, one set in the 1960s and the other in present-day London. Let's dive in. The movie opens in 1965 London with Jennifer Sterling and her husband, Lawrence, returning home. Jennifer appears distant and unsettled, lost in thought. Lawrence reassures her that everything will be all right. Upon arriving home, they are greeted by Mrs. Cordoza, who welcomes Jennifer back from the hospital and helps her to her room. Meanwhile, Lawrence quietly slips a letter into his desk drawer, hiding it from view. As Jennifer gazes at her reflection, she notices a scar on her left cheek. A flash of a memory flickers in her mind, but she dismisses it and continues applying her makeup. Later, while they prepare for bed, Lawrence wishes her good night. Jennifer returns his greeting, calling him Lawrence, but he gently corrects her, saying, Larry, the name she used to call him. This small detail reveals that Jennifer is currently suffering from short-term memory loss. The next scene shifts to modern-day London, where we meet Ellie Hayworth, a journalist. While at work, her boss assigns her a feature on Mary Ellen, the recently deceased, longest-serving women's editor, whose collection of writings has just been donated to the archive. There, Ellie meets Rory McCallum, a sincere and kind-hearted archivist. The film then returns to 1965, where Jennifer is casually speaking with a friend, asking what she remembers about Jennifer's life before the accident. Unfortunately, her friend knows little, offering no clues to help Jennifer regain her lost memories. Later that evening, Jennifer and Lawrence are having dinner with friends. Jennifer experiences a brief flash of memory, but it quickly fades. When a waitress offers her wine, Lawrence intervenes, saying it's by the doctor's orders that she stick to water for her health. With no other choice, Jennifer obeys. Back in the present, Rory shows Ellie Mary Ellen's collection. Although their first encounter wasn't ideal, they begin to warm to each other. While Rory is busy talking, Ellie stumbles upon an old letter in the collection. Curious, she opens it and realizes it's a love letter from the 1960s. She shares it with Rory, who thinks it might have been included by mistake. Intrigued, Ellie proposes they try to track down the sender or return the letter to its intended recipient. As the scene progresses, Jennifer finds a letter that slips out from a book she's holding. Intrigued, she reads it and wonders if there might be more letters hidden in other books. She goes to her bedroom to check and, sure enough, discovers another letter. The new letter mentions a place called Alberto's, a bar, sparking Jennifer's curiosity. Determined to find answers, especially about the sender, she decides to visit the bar. Upon entering, she is approached by an older woman. Jennifer asks if the woman knows her, but she says she doesn't. Jennifer then asks about someone named Felipe, and the woman replies that Felipe died in an accident. Disheartened and shaken, Jennifer leaves, disappointed that the bar offered no clear answers about her past. The next scene is a flashback to months before Jennifer lost her memory. She is peacefully reading when she meets Anthony O'Hare, a foreign correspondent sent to interview her husband. Anthony would become the man who changes her life forever. After their first meeting, Anthony feels he may have offended Jennifer, so he writes her an apology letter. He also invites Jennifer and her husband, Lawrence, to lunch as part of his apology, and they eventually accept it. During the lunch, Anthony shares with the Sterlings that he is divorced and has a son. Lawrence steps away for a moment, leaving Jennifer and Anthony alone. Jennifer asks why Anthony isn't drinking, and after he explains, she jokingly calls him William Boot from Scoop. Shortly after, a man approaches Jennifer to inform her about Lawrence's whereabouts. This leads Jennifer and Anthony to spend some time together on a boat, where they open up and share stories about their lives, seemingly understanding each other deeply. Before they part, Jennifer assures Anthony that she and Lawrence are perfectly content. Returning to the present, Rory calls Ellie to inform her that he has discovered another letter. Ellie is excited to find out how Boot and J's relationship developed. However, Rory suggests they'll need special permission to access the deeper sections of the archive if they want to find more letters. The next scene reveals how Jennifer and Anthony's affair begins. It starts when Jennifer writes to Anthony, informing him that Lawrence has been called overseas, leaving them both in London until her husband returns. They begin spending time together, going out alone and exchanging letters, and continue this pattern until Lawrence's return. One day, as they plan to meet again, Jennifer goes to Anthony's hotel room to wait for him. She tells him she has received a wire saying Lawrence will be returning to London that evening. Anthony asks her what she wants, but instead of answering, she moves closer, leaning in to kiss him. She stops when Anthony apologizes, and she quickly leaves, shaken by what nearly happened. Troubled by the incident, Jennifer finds herself lost in thought, realizing the depth of her feelings. Soon after, she receives a letter from Anthony in which he confesses his feelings for her, admitting his fear that their desires could ruin them both. They meet at Postman's Park, where their affair officially begins. Anthony takes her to Alberto's, introducing her to his friends and engaging in behaviors that defy the boundaries of her marriage. Back in the present, Ellie and Rory head to the basement archives to search for more letters. Ellie climbs up a shelf to retrieve materials from 1964 to 65, and as she's about to climb down, Rory helps her. They share a glance, but it's uncertain if it carries any deeper meaning, leaving both of them a bit awkward. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Anthony's affair continues to grow stronger. One day, Anthony proposes that they leave London together and start a new life in New York. Though tempted, Jennifer hesitates, explaining that she can't abandon her life so easily. Anthony insists they could begin a fresh chapter together, showing he's serious about building a future with her. But Jennifer believes he's in love with the idea rather than fully considering the reality. She worries her family, and friends would disown her if she left Lawrence, and she knows it would be a difficult decision. In response, Anthony accuses her of wasting her life with Lawrence. Stunned by his words, Jennifer walks away, leaving him standing there alone. Despite their strained conversation, Jennifer and Anthony continue exchanging letters. In one letter, Jennifer confesses that she was raised to do what is expected of her rather than what brings her happiness. She admits that she's afraid of loving him and worries he might grow tired of her. She fears she isn't strong enough to take the risk of being with him. In response, Anthony writes to tell her he accepted the job in New York and leaves her a note saying he'll be waiting for her on Platform 2 at Marylebone Station. One evening, Mrs. Cardoza informs Jennifer that Lawrence has instructed her to go ahead without him, likely for dinner. Jennifer, however, has clearly made up her mind. Remembering Anthony's note, she removes her wedding ring, placing it on the dining table as the camera focuses on her hand, symbolizing her decision to leave. Determined to meet Anthony, Jennifer faces a series of challenges: pouring rain, the struggle to find a taxi, and finally going to Felipe, Anthony's friend, for help getting to Marylebone Station in time. The scene cuts between Jennifer, racing to the station, and Anthony, waiting anxiously on the platform. Tragically, just before they reach Marylebone, Jennifer and Felipe are involved in a car accident. Unaware of what has happened, Anthony boards the train, leaving London without knowing the fate of the woman he loves. Ellie and Rory continue sifting through the items in the basement archives, where Rory discovers what appears to be Anthony's last letter to Jennifer. Ellie suggests they visit the P.O. box to which the other letters were sent to see if it still exists, and Rory agrees. Their conversation is interrupted when Rory receives a call, which Ellie answers for him, discovering that it's his birthday. They go out to celebrate, using the evening to learn more about each other and discuss their past relationships. Feeling comfortable with one another, they end up spending the night together. However, in the morning, Ellie leaves without saying a word to Rory. Determined to learn more about the letters, Ellie tries to find out who owned the P.O. box but hits a roadblock when the clerk explains that privacy laws prevent them from sharing that information. Thinking creatively, Ellie decides to write a letter addressed to Dear Jay, explaining that she found letters that might belong to her and expressing her desire to learn the story behind them and Mr. Boot. Eventually, Ellie receives a response from Jennifer, who politely declines to discuss the events mentioned in Ellie's letter. Noticing Jennifer's address on the paper, Ellie decides to visit her in person. When she arrives at Jennifer's house, Jennifer remains reluctant to talk about the past. However, she mentions Anthony and hints that Ellie should search for him instead. The next scene returns to 1965, where Jennifer goes to the post office, hoping to retrieve another letter. However, the clerk informs her that her P.O. box has been closed at Lawrence's request. Still determined, Jennifer insists on reopening it. When she gets home, Jennifer decides to search her husband's office, suspecting he may have hidden more letters. She finds one, the same letter Lawrence had hidden at the beginning of the movie. Jennifer confronts Lawrence about the letter. He explains that it was found on the day of her accident. He tries to tell her who wrote it and hints that he knows about her affair with Anthony. Realizing where the conversation is going, Jennifer understands what he's implying. Lawrence then claims that Anthony was killed and was in the car with her during the accident. But Jennifer remembers that Felipe was the one with her. Lawrence insists that Felipe was only the driver, and that Anthony was in the passenger seat beside her. Ellie finds a way to locate Anthony, though she's distracted by her decision to ignore Rory's messages. One day, she receives a call from Anthony, and they arrange to meet. When they do, Ellie shares what she discovered and asks if he and Jennifer ever reconnected. As Anthony reminisces about the past, the scene shifts to 1969, 4 years after he and Jennifer last saw each other. When they meet again, Jennifer finally remembers him, and they catch up on what has happened during their time apart. Jennifer tells Anthony about the events surrounding that fateful night, finding the hidden letters and being misled into thinking he had died. As they spend the evening together, Anthony admits he's still in love with her and wants to be together. Jennifer, however, reveals that she now has a daughter, and for her daughter's sake, she feels unable to pursue a life with him. Apologizing, she leaves him once more without any assurance of waiting or future plans, despite Anthony's hope. He then tells Ellie that this truly was the last time he ever saw Jennifer. Ellie holds onto the letters and returns them to Anthony. She suggests helping him reconnect with Jennifer, but he declines, explaining that he respects Jennifer's decision from all those years ago. Instead, Anthony hands the letters back to Ellie, encouraging her to try reaching out to Jennifer again and to give her the letters. Ellie does so, and this time, Jennifer agrees to share the story of her and Anthony. From Jennifer's perspective, after her last meeting with Anthony, she confronted Lawrence about his lie regarding Anthony's death. She also confesses that their marriage was already broken long before Anthony entered her life, and she had stayed only for the sake of their daughter. In response, Lawrence warns her that the court would never take her side because of her infidelity. He goes so far as to threaten to ruin her and prevent her from ever seeing their daughter if she leaves him. After their confrontation, Jennifer takes their daughter to Anthony's hotel, only to discover that he left the day before her arrival. Desperate to find him, she visits his workplace, where she meets Mary Ellen, who informs her that Anthony has resigned and left no forwarding address. Feeling helpless, Jennifer entrusts the letters from Anthony to Mary Ellen, hoping she can pass them along. Jennifer later shares with Ellie that she left Lawrence after that, realizing she couldn't risk losing her daughter. Despite her efforts, she hasn't had any contact with Anthony and has given up searching for him, even abandoning the idea of looking for his name on paper. Ellie explains that Anthony is unaware of her attempts to find him and suggests that this might be another chance for them to reunite. However, Jennifer remains hesitant about the idea Ellie proposes. Ellie completes her article on Jennifer and Anthony's story. She then visits Rory to apologize and expresses her desire to reconnect. As they reunite, they realize their feelings for each other are mutual. Ellie tells Rory about meeting Jennifer and Anthony, explaining their different perspectives on what happened after they last parted. Ellie also informs Anthony that Jennifer had once tried to find him, which inspires him to write her another letter, hoping for a second chance to meet. Jennifer receives the letter, though it remains uncertain whether she will go to see him. They feel a wave of sadness and disappointment when Jennifer doesn't appear. But moments later, she arrives, and she and Anthony see each other at last. Time seems to melt away as they hold hands, their faces reflecting both the joy of reunion and the lingering sorrow of what they lost. Their quiet yet powerful reunion is a testament to a love that survived despite years of separation. An alternate ending shows Jennifer arriving at the station on time, allowing her and Anthony to reunite then and there. The film closes on this moving image of reconciliation and fulfillment, leaving viewers with a bittersweet sense of how love, even when delayed by life's obstacles, can ultimately reunite and redeem. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more exciting content. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.